Hey everybody, welcome to, what day are we on? I don't even know. It's probably about day 5 of Reclaiming of Self. And today, as you know, we're doing the Mind Knows Part 2. And there was just one thing that that Mara and I were speaking about yesterday, and we really want to clarify to you something that we've been getting a few messages about. And from the work that we've been doing, and especially from the multidimensional work, which is with the light language, there's been a lot of emotions that have been coming up for people, and there's been a lot of there's been quite a few people that have messaged saying, you know, I'm feeling really like teary-eyed. I'm feeling like I cry, and I'm not too sure why I'm crying, and the body's starting to come alive, and you know, people get like a few people that are getting sensations where they didn't have sensations before, or they're getting just reconnection. There's also a lot of emotions that are coming up, and we just want you to know that tomorrow we're doing, well, tomorrow or the next day, whichever day it falls in, we're doing the body, and we're going to explain a lot more about what's actually happening within you. But with the light language, what happens is it works at a DNA and cellular level, so it's bringing up a lot of things that have been trapped inside you that need to be released, because there's a lot of light coming in, and the density is now going. So we just want to let you know that we have heard you. We're holding a space for you. Just allow whatever needs to happen. It's a really beautiful place to witness yourself right now, and just allow the emotions to be released and to go, and try not to have any attachment to what's happening is a really big thing. And we've got you. We're holding a space for you, and we will explain more, but everything is happening absolutely perfectly. So just wanted to touch on that from the few messages that we got. And there's also someone that posted something in a Facebook group, in our Facebook group, I should say. So as I said, we're going to go on the second part of the Mind Knows, and we tried to do this online, but the live stream guides were not being very nice to us today. So we've gone to the next alternative, because there's always a solution to everything, correct? And what we're going to do is I'm now going to pass it on to the beautiful Maya. And she's going to just sort of give you a bit of an introduction about it, and then launch into a little bit of, well, what we're going to actually start to talk to. So gorgeous Maya, the floor is yours.
Okay, so yes, so what we're going to talk about today is the mind. As we move into the mind and we begin to understand and give more context to the mind in the circumstances that we find ourselves today, what we want to focus on in this part of the Mind Knows is the mind of more context and more understanding of the mind of Mother Earth, and then also more context and more understanding of the mind of the collective and of the community. So what we spoke about before on the first part of the mind was, again, the mind of the Mother Earth and our relationship with that mind as an individual. Now we're going to move into collective mind, collective thinking. And again, I'm just going to give you a few more ideas and a few more concepts and tips or direction in feeling into Mother Earth. Well, things actually feel much more different now, but I got some feedback from you all and from Lisa that the grounding that I was beginning, because there was the energy when we were doing the live was really enormous. So I wanted to get all grounded. We'll go ahead and give you that grounding again, even though I'm feeling it feels completely different, but let's go ahead and connect with the breath. And I want you just to connect with your inhalations, connect with your exhalations, and feel the air moving through your body. As you inhale, feel that cool air brush against your nostrils as you inhale, and let that inhalation move all the way down into the abdomen. And as you move the inhalation into your abdomen, let it fill your sacral spine, the lower back, the lowest part of the back where the buttocks is. Feel the inhalation in that space. Okay, and I want you just to stay for a moment in the lower abdomen as you inhale, and connect now with your sitting bones, connect with your tailbone. With your inhalations, give all your awareness to that space. And I want you to wiggle your toes. Connect with the soles of your feet as you inhale deep into the lower abdomen, deep into the sitting bones, deep into the tailbone. Open the soles of your feet and wiggle your toes. Doesn't matter how you're sitting, if your feet are touching the floor or not. Just give some awareness and connection and attention to your feet. And continue to inhale. And now I want you to move up from the lower abdomen. As you inhale, feel that cool air brush against your nostrils. Inhale now into the diaphragm. So about 2 inches above the belly button, at the height of the diaphragm. Feel the inhalations in that space. And you'll feel the inhalation in the middle back, where your back arches in a bit, a little in there. Inhale into that space, into the middle back and into the diaphragm. Let your diaphragm puff out. And continue to inhale. Inhale and move up into your heart space. So find the center of your chest and open the center of your chest as you inhale into your heart space. Feeling that cool air brush against your nostrils as you inhale into the heart space. And feel that inhalation spread into your back and into your armpits. And continue to inhale. Inhale up into the throat. And allow the inhalations to open the throat. So we breathe into the throat chakra and we open the throat chakra for communication so we can understand as well. So not just so that we speak clearly and we have clarity in what we speak, but also so we have understanding in what we hear. Breathe into the throat. Open the throat. Allow the muscles of your neck to soften as you inhale. Okay, and then we'll just stop there. Now, once again, today, as we talk about the mind knows, we're going to break this down into sections. And today we're going to talk about how the earth mind is with relation to community and the collective, how the community and collective mind are in relationship to the earth. And then we will also give you some information and examples of misalignment and disconnection in the mind with regards to the collective, the community, and the earth. So where I'm going to begin today is actually to talk about the community and the collective mind first. And with the community and the collective mind, it's important to understand that whether we want to or not, we're all a part of this community and collective mind. Now, Lisa and I have both received some downloads in the last 48 hours, very, very strong downloads that are basically telling us that it's very important that we fiercely, like literally that word came to me, fiercely protect the mind, the body, and the soul during this period. The heart must stay open, but the mind, the body, and the soul must remain protected. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that we disconnect from others. What it means is that we have to understand the mind, the body, and the soul as an individual and as our part within the collective. So first I'm going to break apart this collective mind, and I'm going to give you these examples so that you can begin to understand how we exist. So we have this global collective mind as humans. It's a mind that all humans participate in, and that mind is broken down into parts. The dominant parts are the parts that we learned as children, and we learned them as the country we were born into, our nationality, the religion we were, or the faith that we were born into, the culture that we were born into, the social status that we were born into. Uh, we were also born into a gender status, and you know, for the past decades up until recently, we were only given two choices for that gender status. So these are our collective mind clusters that we are actually given tools and we are taught about, and we are told that these are the collective mind patterns that we are allowed to exist in and that we must exist in order to survive and thrive in the place that we were born. Now, if you are watching this, most likely when you were a child, at some point when you were a child, you questioned this on some level. Some part of your body, your mind, your soul was telling you that there's an inconsistency, or or just a partial truth or an incomplete truth about what you were being taught. You maybe perhaps looked around and you thought these big people, um, they're incongruent in their action and in their beliefs, or in their action and their interaction with other people. But there was a part of you as a child that was a bit doubtful of what you were being taught and how you were being conditioned to thrive and to survive in the world that you were born in. Now, these collective dominant mind patterns, they are giving us, generating to us stories of separateness. And that is why, as a child, probably you were a bit like, what's, you know, wait a minute, this doesn't quite make sense, but I'm going to follow what these big people tell me to do, because I can see that they get anxious, they get nervous, they get upset when I don't, but it doesn't make sense to me. These ideas of separateness, that we are separate from each other, that that our religions are separate from each other, that our nations are separate from each other, that our cultures are separate from each other, that our social ranking makes us different and separate from each other. These are actually not true. We are not separate, actually. We are not separate in mind, body, spirit, or heart. We actually need each other. You know, we've said already a few times in these lives that it's through community that complete healing actually occurs. We can go to as many psychologists, we can use as many self-help books as we like, but it's through community and through the unity in community that the actual completion of healing, through being witnessed by others, that is how the healing is completed. We want to move away from that space of feeling separate and instead move back into that childlike, that childhood clarity and understanding that there is a connection between us, between plants, between animals, between marine life. There's a connection from us and the mineral life on Earth. There is an Austrian philosopher, his name's Rudolf Steiner, and his work from, I think it was back in the 30s or 40s, his work actually is the basis for Montessori schools. And one of the things that he touched on a lot as he explained his work was that there is a mineral kingdom, there's a plant kingdom, there's an animal kingdom of which humans are a part, but he also, you know, there's a human kingdom, and we are all connected in these kingdoms. We all rely on each other. There's an interdependence. It's not a separateness. So even though we are, we get this conditioning from when we're children that there is this separateness, which the idea of separateness creates a sense of competition. It creates a sense of lack. It creates all of these disconnected sensations. We're actually, the thing is that we are connected and we do need each other. And once we begin to move into these spaces of connectedness, we actually begin to understand the intelligence of the mineral kingdom, the intelligence of the plant kingdom, the intelligence of the animal kingdom, and we begin to connect with all of that. So as we move, and of course, this describes the mental space of Mother Earth. Now, as we connect, we begin to reconnect with these understandings. We want to move into the heart, into the body, and begin to understand where our true passions lie. Because in this conditioning, as we grow up as children, we are conditioned to stay within these trackings, the tracking system of, okay, I'm from this nation, I'm from this culture, I'm from this social status, this political status, this religion. And so we do our best to fit in, and we do what our parents tell us to do, which is, you know, for me, it was, you become a doctor, you become a lawyer, you become an engineer. Those are your three choices. For other people whose parents might have had a uh, what's the word isn't coming for me, but for other people whose parents may have had like a particular skill, like mechanic, or like a metal worker or a woodworker, then, you know, say it again,
Tradesman,
Lisa.
a trade.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, you know, maybe you came from a family where there's a particular trade that runs in the family, um, or a particular family business. Maybe your family is into farming, or whatever the case may be. As a child, you're brought up and taught this is what you become, and that those often are conditionings that take us away from the true self, from the self that knows, this is my passion, this is who I am, this is what I do. Now, for many of us, we actually move into these, either the trade, or we move into the skill. We become doctors, engineers, lawyers, whatever. We run our own farms, and perhaps we do those things very successfully, or with little static, with little resistance. But there is a nagging voice inside that says, yeah, I can do this. I can do this with my eyes closed. I can wake up every morning and I can do this job, and I can honor my family. I can honor what my parents wanted me to do. But even though I'm great at this job, what I really want to do is write, or what I really want to do is paint, or what I'm really good at doing is jamming on, on a guitar on the weekends. Where my passion really lies is working with children, doing this. So this is the child in you that's connecting to that passion, that's in that really is expressing who you are and what you are meant, what your gift, what your genius is in this world. And so this idea of protect fiercely the mind, the body, and the spirit, it has to do also with protecting your genius, and letting your genius express. So what you want to do then is figure out, okay, what is my genius? Now, why do we need to figure out the genius, and what does this have to do with the collective thought? So we have the collective conditioned thought, but we also have what I call them thought pockets, or I also call them thought clusters. I kind of like the idea of thought clusters a bit better. Pockets, it sounds a bit like they're hiding, and I don't want them to hide anymore. So once you tap into your genius. So for me, my genius, to make this much easier for you to understand, my genius, I'm a painter, I'm a professional cook, I'm a body worker, and a yoga instructor, but it's a very specific thing in how I teach yoga and how I connect with the body. So I have a particular genius with body movement. So those are the three geniuses that I'll just talk about right now. Now, what I've noticed over the years is that when I am working in one of these genius zones that I connect to, occasionally I'll get to a point where so for example, I'll give you the example of when I am making a recipe, and I've got this idea, and I'm adding a little bit of salt, a little bit of this spice, a little bit of that spice, a fresh spice, and I'm adding it needs a little bit of tomato, it needs a little bit of just all different types of things. And then I get to a point where I'm tasting it and I'm like, but something's missing. um, I'm not certain, but I really like the way when I put this in my mouth, there's the texture that I feel on my tongue and under my teeth. But there's just, then there's this pop and a highlight of a little bit of savory, a little bit of sweet, but something's not connecting to make this right. Now, if you're listening to me and you're thinking, oh my gosh, she is like, wow, she's a real foodie, or like, why would she even bother to go that deeply into her food, or if she's preparing food or whatever, this could be an indication that your genius is not food, which is fine. That's okay. I'm just giving you the example of what it's like to know what the genius is, and my genius is food, which means that I just become really fascinated with flavors, with textures, with colors when it comes to food, and how it affects the body, and how it feels on the tongue and the teeth and the gums and everything. So when I am calm, cool, collected, and I allow myself to access my thought cluster, somewhere around the world, there are other members whose genius is also food, cooking. Somewhere around the world, they are either cooking themselves, or they're having a dream, or they're writing a recipe book, or they're just thinking about it. But somewhere, someone in my thought cluster is getting my ideas. They are getting my feedback. And I too am getting theirs. So when I get to that moment where my mind is blank and I'm just like, I know it's missing something, and then out of the blue, out of nowhere, it comes to me, you need a fat. You need a fat that's animal based or plant based, or you need a fat that is solid, or that is liquid. That's not coming from me. That's coming from a member of my thought cluster. So to give you an idea, bye Lisa. So to give you an idea of how this works, and how we've seen this happen in history, we have had many times in our history many arguments about who has invented what. And what I learned as a child was that the country or the culture that has the most money, they are the ones who get to claim in the history book who invented what. Because the reality has been that when the light bulb was invented, or when automobile transport was invented, or when the internet was invented, email was invented, if you take any of these inventions and you look in the history book and you actually comb through and study different countries, you will find that there were people all around the world studying the exact same thing at the exact same time, coming up with the exact same inventions. So again, these are passions, these are thought clusters, these are parts of the collective mind that we actually also belong to. Now, the other thing that can happen when we are in these collective genius zones, are safe zones for us to work in, where we can begin to find. Well, we'll move into the discord and the disconnection as we move forward. I want to give you a little bit more understanding about what these thought clusters are and how they work. I want to give you another example that's based on a scientific, there was a scientific study done on a group of musicians. The study wanted to figure out how musicians, when they do a jam session, how is it that these musicians manage to create such harmonious and beautiful music together? And this happens worldwide. just a group of musicians will come together. Sometimes there will be a brand new musician that no one's never met before, and they just come together, a few people sit down, and they start jamming. And the music that they create is absolutely incredible. Well, what these scientists learned was that what happens is the humans who are part of this thought cluster, they agree silently to move into what the scientists called a hyperbrain. Now, the hyperbrain for me is the same as a thought cluster, but it's localized. So in that local space, the group of 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, however many musicians, they create a thought cluster called a hyperbrain, and they begin to work together to create this harmonious, melodious, amazing, beautiful music. So again, I'm giving you these ideas, I'm giving you these examples to give you context for where we are at right now. Where we are at right now in the context of this situation is that, as we spoke of a couple of days ago, in Mother Earth's mind, she is disintegrating a system that has not worked. She is growing her roots and her leaves, her trees, her plants. She's growing it all over a system that needs to be reclaimed and returned to Earth, because it's a system of disconnection, a system of separateness that isn't working. And what we want to do is come into an understanding and a clarity that there are actually other thought clusters that we all belong to, that we can all safely meet in, and those thought clusters have to do with our genius, with our passions. Now, there are other thought clusters that are dangerous, that have led us into spaces of misalignment, that have led us into spaces of disconnection. And those thought clusters have to do with our behaviors and our actions and our beliefs of that otherness, our beliefs of, you know, my country or my religion or my culture or my social status makes me a better, more valuable person than that other one who has bad luck of being born in the wrong place at the wrong time. That is a part of a thought cluster. We do have thought clusters that are racist, that are prejudiced, that are misogynist, that promote bigotry. And when we speak of protecting and fiercely protecting the mind, the body, and the soul, it's being within the self, connecting once again to that child and recognizing which thought clusters we need to stay out of, that we need not to breathe life into or be passively a part of through our passive or active participation in it. So just going to begin to give you a few examples of my own disconnection and dissociation with the collective and the mental mind. One of the thought patterns that I had, that I learned actually from self-help a lot. I've been doing self-help since I was like 18 years old. And one of the things that I always did is that I always actually, and I did this actually even before self-help. I did this, I think that it was, maybe it was from my religion. I was brought up Roman Catholic. I'm not really sure where I got this from, but it was definitely reinforced with self-help books. And that is that I participated always in this perpetual positivity. If anything went wrong or if anything went bad, I don't know if any of you ever saw when you were a kid, Pollyanna. I was Pollyanna. I always saw the silver lining in everything. I always saw the glass half full. Anything that went wrong, it was like I would just disconnect from all negativity, and I would push forward with this perpetual positivity. and regardless, just move forward. Now, many of you might be thinking, well, what's so wrong with that? It's better to have like a nice, happy person, positive person around than someone who's negative. Well, the issue with that is that it promotes a habit of denying situations that are occurring. It promotes a habit of stuffing down um, natural emotions. It promotes also a habit of labeling certain emotions as negative or bad, which means in turn that I label certain parts of myself as not worth being looked at, not worth value. So just to give you like a specific example, when I would feel sad or I would feel angry or I would feel frustrated, rather than looking at those emotions and allowing them to breathe through myself and say, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, or I'm sad, let me cry, let me stomp my feet, let me tell this person in front of me that I'm angry because my boundaries have been crossed and I need my boundaries to be respected. Instead, I push that all down and I bring out Pollyanna. I bring out that perpetual positivity and I figure out how I can deny and manipulate a situation so that everything is okay and smiley. So this is a huge disconnect in the mind. It's a huge misalignment of the mind. And it's a way that I actually prevented myself from learning more about my emotions, learning more about the intelligence behind my emotions, learning more about the intelligence and how to inform my community, how to treat me with respect, how to get along with me, how to have my needs met as well as theirs. And so what we want instead is to turn and move into these spaces rather of alignment and of connection. So I'm just going to pause right there and see if Lisa wants to chime in with anything, if anything resonates with alignment and connection, or a misalignment and disconnection.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I always find it fascinating when you're talking about like the pockets and just the connections that we have. And I don't think you mentioned it, but when we were talking about this a few months ago, about Christmas time, and you made me sit down and watch Sense8, I really got a huge understanding of what this was. And if you haven't seen that, it's an extremely interesting mini-series, and it just made me, and it put it all into perspective what you talk about how we are all connected. And it blew my mind. It is a little bit R18, so be careful because there's some raunchy scenes in it, but my goodness, they're awesome. So don't have any little people. But for me, when you were talking, I was thinking about where I was misaligned within myself and where I was really disconnected. And for me, I used to be and it wasn't actually until recently that this habitual habit actually stopped. I was a multitasker. So I would be sitting here, I would have, for instance, and Maya can talk about this because it was very, like I did a 5-day cleanse with her, a 5-day water fast with her, that this really allowed me to see with crystal clear eyes the difference before and after and what was actually happening within me with my total misalignment, with my total disconnection with myself. It was just crazy. I would sit there and I would have my phone, I would be on my computer, I would be writing something, and sometimes I would even have my iPad up. So I would have 3 different things going on 3 different devices. I wouldn't always be on them, but I'd have them there, and I'd be having different things happening, whether I was talking to my team, whether I was talking to Maya, whether I was talking to my hubby. It didn't really matter. Probably 99% of them was work related. This is when I was in my work, and I realized that I was doing it in my own environment as well. And I would be doing all these different things. Now, not only did I realize that my energy was just going spasmodic everywhere, like it wasn't actually firing in one place, so I wasn't actually using the full potential within my body, which we'll go through tomorrow. It was more so that I was feeling very disconnected in my mind, and I was absolutely out of alignment. I was very withdrawn and I wasn't fully connected. So what I was doing is I wasn't focusing on one thing to be able to give myself the full clarity, the full concentration, to be in a space of giving it my all. I was giving this a little bit, this a little bit, this a little bit, and this a little bit. So I wasn't present in the moment. And when you're not present in the moment of what you're actually doing or who you're talking to or where you're being, you miss stuff and you don't do things to your full potential. So yeah, at the end of the day, I had accomplished a lot, but really what came to me is I was accomplishing a lot, but not actually doing my full genius. I was accomplishing a lot, but not doing as much as what I could be. And I was stepping out of my full genius, because the other thing that since I did this water fast, and it was only a couple of months ago, wasn't it, Maya? We were in Bali doing the retreat. Yeah. Just before it, because we're actually doing these retreats. So we're going to be doing water fasting retreats. So I was like, okay, I got to do this. I'm ready. And Maya got the download that, yeah, I was ready in this present moment. So we did it. And what I realized is that I needed to slow myself down. And by slowing myself down, the reconnection happened. By even concentrating on putting my feet on the ground, feeling into it, going into the bathroom and only brushing my teeth, not brushing my teeth and doing 10 other things, my hair and everything at the same time. I was really present in that moment, and I was seeing so much more that was going on, and I was doing everything to my complete potential. The downloads were happening, and I was in my genius when I was in it, because I was being in the present moment. There was no shortcutting of the mind. My mind circuits weren't going crazy. I wasn't missing information. I was actually in alignment. I was in connection, and I was in my body, as well as my mind and my focus were crystal clear. And for me, for years, I've been a multitasker. And I think it was a habit that I formed because I was always in my masculine. I was always go, 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 go. I've got to work. And this is one of my old programmings, was that I have to keep working, work, because that's where you make money. If you keep doing things and you get all these things accomplished, then yay, my to-do list was ticked off, and that was important. But I wasn't doing everything to my full potential. I was really disconnected. So
Yeah.
that, Maya, that was coming to me as you were speaking. It was like, wow. And I mean, I'll talk more about the water fast tomorrow, because friggin' incredible.
Yeah, I love that example of your multitasking, because for me it really pulls into it illustrates exactly what I'm hoping that you're all receiving, which is like the multitasking. Also, how many of you, I grew up with the value of, with this idea that multitasking is valued. It's a valuable, it's a talent, it's a skill. Like the more things that I can do at one time, I'm a better person, I'm more valuable. And it's not the way the brain works. And it also is, it really takes it takes the individual out of presence. It is so much easier. So many humans in the last 20 years have been trying to meditate. How do you meditate? How do you meditate? I've had so many students ask me how to meditate. And I'm just like, just go wash some dishes. Like, if you wash dishes, you can meditate while you're washing the dishes. You can meditate. You can meditate, as Lisa said, by brushing your teeth. You just brush your teeth, the front teeth and then the back teeth on the top row on the outside. And then, you can meditate doing anything if you just take one task and do that one task and be fully present in that moment. Then you can create a 5, 10, 15, 20-minute meditation. And so how does this connect with the collective mind? Again, when we move into these meditative states, when we move into full presence, regardless of what we are doing, then we protect the mind. Then we are not allowing our minds to be scattered. When the mind is scattered, then anything and anyone can come in and influence. We can become anxious, overwhelmed, fearful. In this circumstance, the situation we're in right now, many people have become very scattered and fearful, also because multiple devices going off, multiple news sources coming in, from our different devices, from our computers, from the TV, from our friends, from our family, and that's just scattered brain, scattered mind. And what the scattered brain and the scattered mind tend to do is to jump into the future. The mind wants to control and to understand, hey, what's going to happen in the future? Well, in this circumstance right now, where we have all been hit either physically, financially, or psychologically, no one can plan the future right now because everything is uncertain. So we are being forced to step out of that part of the mind. And this is the time where, instead of constantly looking to the future, which makes no sense, which has no purpose right now, there's no control that anyone has right now. No one can plan anything for the future. So what we can do is bring ourselves into the present. And I'll just bring this like very personally. Right now, I'm in a 3-star hotel room for 1 month. That is my present. That's all I know. I don't know anything else. And it doesn't make any sense for me to try and figure out what my next move is during the first, what's going to happen to me on May 11th. I have no idea. I can't tell you anything about my visa. I can't tell you anything about if I'm going to be in Bali or Australia, New Zealand, or Italy. I can't tell you anything. But what I can do is I can be present right now, and I can figure out what the present mind can teach me. And that's what we want to do, is stay present and find out what the present mind can teach you. So the reason, if you are here, it's because your present mind is telling you, I have some things that I can learn. I have some things that I can reflect on. I can begin to connect and feel my passion, feel my genius, figure out what that is, and move away from these systems of thought where we have been programmed to believe that I need to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or I need to pick up my parents' trade or my parents' business in order to survive. Because these systems are not working. These systems, Mother Nature is giving us political disaster after political disaster, natural disaster after natural disaster. And now I'm getting chills. Now we are in this viral disaster, which no matter what we do, it's a pandemic. Yes, it's a pandemic that's killing hundreds of thousands of people. But let me remind you, it's not killing millions of people. But it doesn't matter, because it's touching every single one of us, physically or financially or psychologically, which makes this very, very interesting to try and understand what the heck is the Earth Mind doing? Where is she bringing us? Because these old systems aren't working anymore. We've got to get into the new systems. So I'm just going to hold on a second, let Lisa jump in there.
I just had something as you were speaking as well. This is what we spoke about yesterday, and I was just going, yes, yes, yes. The other thing that's happening now, and I just want to touch on it from yesterday, is that because all this is happening, we're actually living in our primitive mind. And we're speaking about this a lot, aren't we, Maya? And our primitive mind is our survival mind. So what we're happening is that we're sitting in a place of thinking, you know, where's the money going to come from? Where is the food coming from? Are we safe? And all these different emotions are coming up that we're attaching to the actual event that's happening through our primitive mind. So I just wanted to touch on that, because when you can move to the collective mind, and when you can move to the collective earth mind, it actually switches things. So I just thought, yeah, the primitive mind is the space that you actually need to detach yourself right now, because, you know, we're all doing the best we can with what we've been given. We need to allow the fact that we're safe. We're safe right now, and we have to go through this, and we have to learn from it. So that was just coming through, just to add to what you were talking about, hun.
Absolutely, Lisa. We really, really need to be very careful of the primitive mind and not allow that automatic reaction to come in and to take over. And how to do that? How do we stay away from allowing that the automatic responses, those instinctive responses that actually they don't really make any sense. So to give you a couple of tools that you can try on your own, again, come into the present moment, do the dishes, yeah, do one task, go brush your teeth, and focus on your breath as you do that one task. Focus on the project right there at hand. If yeah, to bring you back into the mind, focus on the breath, be present. And if that isn't working for you, if you need help, then you give Lisa or I a call, and we'll help you out with that. The other thing to also remember, just one more tool or one more tip, is to remember, this is an intellectual tip. We are in is it the 21st century? Yeah. So, I mean, it's 2020, right? It's 2020. We can all agree on that. And honestly, it's been more than 100 years. It's been more than 200 years. It's been more than 300 years that it's been centuries that humans are at the top of the food chain. Humans are at the top of every single system on the planet. There is no threat to you as a human being. Nothing. Nothing can threaten you. Our threat is actually other humans. Only humans kill other humans, basically. I mean, of course, if you go into the safari and you do something stupid, or you go into the woods and you see a cute little baby bear and you think, oh, so cute and cuddly. Yeah, of course, the mother bear is going to come and attack you. But honestly, where you are right now sitting, if you're in a country that has lockdown, there is no threat to you. So there's no reason for the primitive mind to get active and to move into that autonomic nervous reaction of fight. Exactly, a fight, flight, nausea, vomiting, numbing, hiding. No, there's no threat. So what we want to do, the tool is to come back into the breath, move into these states of meditation and presence in the tasks that you're doing, and begin to connect with yourself. Begin to connect with your body, your mind, your soul, and figure out who you are. Figure out what your genius is. Figure out what your passion is, because now we're going to move into the explanation of exactly what is this earth mind? What's the earth mind? What is happening? So what the download that I've been getting, and that is not just me, many people have been getting, is that right now, Mother Earth, as she has presented this virus to us that affects us financially, physically, psychologically, basically it is a destruction of the old. So there's this destruction of the old, to eat up the old and to disintegrate it and return it to earth, to return it into a state of soil that can become enriched and regenerate something brand new. So what happens is, in this system that we have created and that we have contributed to with our own thoughts, as we participate actively or passively in these thought clusters, we have perpetuated a system of disconnection, of otherness, of separateness. And now what we want to move into is an understanding that, yes, we are all actually very much connected, and we can connect it to each other in very healthy ways. If we don't change direction, we may actually end up where we are headed. So I'm going to say that again. If we do not change our direction, we may actually end up where we are headed. And so what is happening with the planet, with Mother Earth right now? The Earth mind is, this system's not working. Mother Earth is saying, we need to move into a destruction of this system and bring it back down into earth so that something new can grow. Now, what we have the opportunity to do here is to, just 1 second, Lisa, is to recognize that Mother Earth, we've got what we have here is a portal, and we have the possibility to move through this portal, or we have the possibility to drop down into a hole. And we want to take this opportunity to move through this portal. In order to move through the portal, we have to come out of that collective mindset of arguing over what this situation is, what it means, how we got here, who's telling us the truth, who's telling us lies, no, we just need to recognize that everyone is trying to do the best they can to protect themselves, to protect their families, and they're all having these instinctive responses, and just witness that. Okay, you're having an instinctive response. It doesn't resonate with me, but I can witness it and I can respect it, yes? And I'm going to be in my space, I'm gonna stay in the present moment. I'm not gonna worry about the future because there's nothing I can do about that anyway, but I can reflect and I can be in my body and I can see and be what I can connect with what I'm able to learn about this situation with myself right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you were talking, I was sort of feeling, sort of getting downloaded about, you think about the human mind compared to Earth's mind, and she's doing exactly the same thing as what a human does. When there's too much disease that is recorded mentally in the actual physical body, the body starts to shut down. It causes the illness. On planet Earth, there has been so much stress. There's been so much just mistreatment of her. There's been so much of, and a lot of it is unconscious, thoughtless habits that we've been doing, but we've actually been hurting, constantly hurting. Now she's come to the stage like a human person that constantly puts the bad food in their mouth, that constantly puts us in a stressful environment, that is just neglecting themselves, that's not exercising. She's starting to shut down because she has to. It's basically, with the human, when you get to a certain stage where you have a lot of stress, anxiety, bad treatment, your body sends a message to your brain to say, okay, this body, we're shutting down because we cannot function anymore. And then disease comes in, and then we get to a stage where our body actually starts to shut down and decay. And that's what's happened to Mother Nature. And then she is now starting the rebirth, the regenerating system, so that she can rebuild if we allow it. If we don't allow it, it's what you were talking about. And I love that what you said. If we're going to go down that rabbit hole, we're not going to be able to get out. So we need to make sure that right now that we are really honoring Mother Earth, and we are. Do you want me to keep going with the reconnection?
Actually, what I'd like for you to do, you stepped into the habitual thought patterns and behaviors, and I love that you brought that up. Mm-hmm. So if there's something that you want to continue on that, because that is totally
okay.
Yeah.
With the habitual and the beliefs and the programming that we've been doing, the last 2 decades, we've actually been, probably even longer, there's been so much call for change, but we haven't been listening, and we haven't been treating. This is actually a lot of it for us. It's unconsciously. For me, it was unconsciously. Like, I think even 6 months ago, I wasn't treating the people in Mother Earth to how I should be, because my thoughts and patterns weren't supportive of her. But we need to make massive change, because the way that we've been treating the water, the way we've been treating the land, or the way that we've been, depleting the minerals, I mean, how many people are sitting there now on lockdown going, I don't need half of the shit I have. Like, why do I have all this stuff around me when really, in reality, what I want is my freedom. Freedom is more important than the things that I have around me. And then looking even deeper at that, at what am I actually buying? Why am I buying something that's made of palm oil? Why am I not looking the labels? Why am I not honoring, other people and Mother Earth? And we're really having to sit to a side of, why don't I have a garden? Right now, if I had a beautiful garden, my needs would be being fulfilled instead of looking externally for everything. And why is when I go somewhere, I'm buying something that's got so much plastic, it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And and this has been quite a thing for me while I've been in whatever you want to call it, isolation, lockdown, whatever, is that I don't need half the shit I have. And it's not that I'm actually even a huge buyer, but it's that, I have been really buying too much. I have been eating too much. That's the other thing that's been coming. Why am I putting so much? Why am I having breakfast, lunch, and dinner when I don't want it? All these different things with my collective mind that I've actually been thinking about how I've actually been, has been affecting the collective earth and the collective as a whole. There's been a massive flow-on effect. So my beliefs and my patterns and my unconscious habits have been affecting other people and have been affecting Mother Earth at a huge, huge place. And now she's come to the stage and she's going, you know what, I've had enough. So I know that from myself that I am starting to really sit in a place of, and I changed my diet not so long ago. I went to a plant-based diet, and really when I did it, I wasn't actually at that stage thinking about the collective or thinking about the collective earth. I was thinking about myself because my body wasn't reacting. And it was like I wasn't realizing, and you helped me, if you ever want to change your eating habits, this is the woman. Like, holy shit, she's redefined my whole life with what I'm eating, with my nutrition, not only for my body, but then I'm seeing the reflection on Mother Earth. I'm seeing the reflection everywhere else in my life, in my mind, in my body, in my soul, everything. But what I'm trying to say is that, we need to listen more. We need to look more. We have to be more aware. We have to really bring it from our unconscious to our conscious about what we're actually doing, what we're eating, how we're affecting other people, how we're disconnected from our community because of old beliefs around that. Oh no, I don't need anybody else. I'm stronger by myself. That was my belief, it's just, we're really sitting, if we're not realizing, in actually a beautiful place. We're sitting in a place that we can go into reflection. We can go into awareness. We can go into a place of change, because if we don't change, things are going to change for us. And we've been hit in the face with what's been happening right now, because, and I'm not saying it was Mother Earth that did this. There's a whole lot of different things, and you can believe whatever you want to believe. But let's just sit back and take a look about how, like, I'm looking outside now and I'm seeing butterflies that I've never seen before. All these different kind of butterflies. 2 days ago, I was on the phone to Maya, and these ducks, 4 ducks with so many ducklings walked past. The geese, remember the geese? And then there's all this new life. And I said and it's not actually a time that they would rebreed, because the earth is regenerating. This is what we need to do with ourselves now, is we need to sit back and go, okay, so how can I change? What commitments can I make moving forward to make this earth a better place? How can I cause a change within my environment, within myself, within my community, within Mother Earth? And really rethink about what we're buying and what we're consuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny, as you speak about that, you're reminding me of our last 2 days on the retreat when the birds came and were sitting on my shoulders.
Oh
And I remember, we would get a message every morning and a message every evening about what was happening in the world as the lockdown was starting. So we did know, that flights were being discontinued and things like that. And one of the things that we noticed at the end of the retreat, we were noticing that it was quieter, the sky was clearer, there were a lot more butterflies and dragonflies flying around. The birds were louder, like there were just more birds. And then when we were doing yoga in the morning, and everyone was like, God, those birds are loud. And then there were the last 2 days, these 2 little birds actually just came and they just sat on me. And
for hours. To show that was, and they sat for hours.
Incredible. For hours. walked around, did this, and they're just these wild birds. And then when they were done, they went back to their families and did their thing, you know? And I remember, Lisa, we were talking about that, and we thought, wow, you know, was definitely in a state of denial, and also in a very state of, I need to protect my group in this retreat at that time. So I really couldn't connect with what was happening around the world. But what I was able to see immediately was, well, regardless of what's going on and how this seems to me to be not a very great thing, look what happens when, when we're convinced that a pandemic is threatening the lives of millions and millions of people, and we all stop. Look at all the good that happens from that. Mother Earth starts to come out. Mother Nature comes out. Birds, all these little animals, they become more curious. They have space to breathe. In India, they have thousands of turtles come onto the beaches and lay eggs. The waters in Venice cleared. The skies in Bali became clear. There's just so many. There's less air pollution here now. You can see the skyline. You can see all the mountains, all the islands around now. It's
the energy so insane. It's really heightened. The vibrations lifting. We actually, and when it comes down to it, we're actually getting what we asked for.
Yes.
And we do need to shift to an estate. I know this is a slightly different subject. It's in our best interest, I should say, that we shift into a state of the next part of the rebirth process, instead of in our minds fighting it and trying to deny it and trying to blame and try to find some sort of thing that we can attach to whose problem it is. When we can really go into, it's what you talked about on day one, was the acceptance. When we go to the acceptance, we can start to have the growth, we can start to have the and within ourselves, we can start to really bring clarity of what's actually going on, what's for us moving forward, with the zero attachment to the emotion of all the external stuff going on. And this is what I think about what's happening on the planet right now, is that she's in a state now where she's going, okay, so the energy is, everything's different now, everything's clearer, so now I can actually start to do what I am actually here to do, and we're supporting her without even realizing it.
Yeah. So if we can continue with that support, and we can take this moment to be more present, become more aware of our own thoughts, our own habitual thoughts, our own patterned behavior that's a part of this old system, and begin to develop new strategies, and begin to develop, but not just to develop, but actually commit to new strategies that are supportive of Mother Earth. The changes, yes, we do have multinationals dumping all of these products on us, buy, and commercials or whatever, but we can make a difference with our consumer preferences, whether we choose to consume or not. I do want to honor all of the people out there who have already changed their diets, who have changed to more plant-based eating, or who have completely switched to plant-based eating. I know that that's not an easy thing to do. And I'll be honest with you, I've been vegetarian, vegan since 1996. And people always have asked me all this time, why don't you eat meat? Especially, back in the 90s, people really, they're like, why don't you eat cheese? And the truth is, Mother Earth, or because of the plant and animal kingdom, and it wasn't some type of heart-based decision. It was a practical decision. And it was a decision that made sense for my finances, for my circumstances at the time. It was a decision I made also practicality, because I didn't grow up knowing how to choose meat at the supermarket. Like, I would go to the supermarket, I didn't know which meat was good or bad or what, and I also didn't know how to cook it. The only thing that my mom would fix when I was a kid was chicken and fish, and I was really sick of it. And at that time in 1996, we had another pandemic, and that pandemic was mad cow disease. And when that came around, and I had student loans to pay, no knowledge of how to choose beef, and you know, other not very many resources for cooking it, I just thought, well, I guess I'll just become a vegetarian because I know how to cook vegetables and it makes sense. And so that's what I'm going to do. So, you know, it was just,
you couldn't have been a Kiwi.
yeah. So, example, like, oh, all of these things are happening in the world right now, and all of these things are happening in my personal life right now. So I'm going to change. And it was a change that I adopted and adapted to, and you know, here we are decades later. So again, as Lisa was pointing out, really like looking at those habitual thought patterns, looking at the behaviors that we have, and beginning to figure out what commitments can be made to, you know, to change and to make this planet a better planet. Like, what are the small individual steps that can be made, and to go ahead and commit to them on an individual level, to make them for yourself.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm good.
So is there any?
No, I'm
okay.
good. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll move into the meditation and the healing to bring us back into alignment and connection. Go ahead. Yeah, no, it's okay. She changed.
I'm actually going to do a third eye activation and a little bit of a crown opening, because the next part that we're going into is with the group needs to have that happen. And I was feeling into the energy today, and there's a lot of like stuff within the head. So I want to open the crown with the mind stuff just to allow it to flow out and flow in. So yeah, I just thought I'd just I forgot to tell you that little bit. As always, we into the collective.
And it's really important actually that we give you information about what, you know, what it is we're doing when we are giving you these healing tools. And just to add a little bit more context as well to this third eye activation and crown opening. It's also crown. I won't say anything else. This crown opening as well is to help us to move from, so again, when we were talking about Mother Earth's mind, and Mother Earth's mind giving us this opportunity and this possibility of either moving through a portal or dropping through a hole. So this third eye activation and crown opening is for moving through the portal, yes, and for changing the track so that we can go in a new direction.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to ask you all to focus on the breath once again. Come into the breath and feel your inhalations. Breathe through the nose and allow the inhalations. Feel the cool air brush against your nostrils as you fill your chest and your lungs. And I want you to continue to inhale and feel the movement of the abdomen as you inhale, the movement of the chest as you inhale, the movement in the armpits as you inhale. And I want you now to focus on the exhalations. Drop down into your exhalations and let the exhalations move warm air against your nostrils. Drop down into the exhalations, deep into the abdomen. Drop down into your exhalations at the base of the spine, your sitting bones, your tailbone. And if they haven't already, with this focus on your exhalations, let the eyes sink deep into the skull. Let your eyes release and relax each time you exhale. And as you exhale deep into the abdomen and connect with the base of the spine, the sitting bones, the soles of your feet, begin to observe the threads of light that extend down from the base of the spine, from the sitting bones, from the soles of your feet. Observe those threads of light. They can be any color. And observe with your attention each time you exhale, those threads of light extend downwards. And with grace and ease, they begin to extend downwards and thread, weaving around each other, moving down through the floor, down. With each exhalation, these threads of light continue down through the building that you're in, the house or whatever structure you're in. These threads of light glide with ease through the foundations of the space that you're in. And observe as they continue to glide down with each exhalation, these threads of light weaving down through the earth, weaving down through layers of earth and down, gliding with ease through mineral and rock. With each exhalation, these threads of light continue to weave down further and further until these threads of light weave down and meet the core of Mother Earth. And as you exhale and these threads of light meet this red hot molten center of Mother Earth's core, where there is infinite wisdom, infinite strength, infinite intelligence. With your exhalations, you release all dis-ease, all friction and resistance. You release all concerns, cares, and worries that are not related to the present moment as you exhale. And you're going to stay connected with Mother Earth, connected with the core of Mother Earth. As you begin to listen to the language of Mother Earth, stay with the breath and allow the language to infuse through every cell of the body.
Urukua shaniana ya kotoroa yama. Soro akashisania natahia boruku. Ikakuruku amatia naha. Ishamiana, miana totruku sushuana. Isarikua. Ibagua mashania tahahia. Isa kurukua mania nata, aboria shuruku, isa nahania no anina moa nahani kakia, roa makakika kuruku masisha niana, aboku, ruku ane yanganoa mai yakatu. Arua kashiana hanita tata tisano. Iamura yaka. Iahua. Iamoa. natatia ruku anna shisia. Ia mua natatita tatoruku mata. Mania, misha nia notuha. Ia kuruku amashia nasa hia tua. Itatia kuruku amashia naha natasita tu. Ibakura mashutureaku. Yama na yakoa yakoa yashona yakoa no doa yakoa. Ia moa na yakoa kakia. Isa moa shia nahini. Ia koku. Tabriko manata. Now I want you to inhale.
And as you inhale, begin to inhale from the core of Mother Earth, up the threads of light, and observe as the inhalations move up along those threads of light that glide easily up through mineral and rock, that glide easily up through the earth, through the foundations, and glide up through the floor and back up into the sitting bones, the tailbones, the soles of the feet. With each inhalation, observe those threads of light getting brighter and brighter and filling you up with energy, filling you up with light, filling you up with that infinite wisdom, infinite strength, infinite intelligence, direct from Mother Earth's core. And continue to inhale and allow that inhalation to fill up the abdominal space. Continue to inhale and allow the inhalation to fill into the diaphragm. Breathe deeply into the diaphragm and allow that space to light up. Continue to inhale deep into the heart space. Allow the inhalations to fill the space of the heart, fill the lungs, the armpits. Continue to inhale into the throat. Allow the muscles of the neck to release as you inhale deep into the throat. Continue to inhale up into the space between the eyebrows. And feel the opening of the space between the eyebrows as you inhale deeply. And continue to inhale deeply up into the crown chakra. Inhale deep into the crown of the head and allow the crown of the head to open up as you breathe deeply. Connect with that opening in the crown of the head. As you connect with that opening in the crown of the head, observe a white beam of light extending down into the crown of the head, pouring down and flooding the body with white light. Each time you inhale, this connection intensifies, invigorates the body from the core of the body all the way out to the extremities with each inhalation as you give this breath your attention and intention. Now I want you to take 3 deep breaths, inhaling deeply with this connection. Inhale and fill the core of the body from the base of the spine to the crown of the head with these threads of light at the base of the spine, joining with the beam of light at the crown of the head. Inhale again deeply and observe the weaving of light happening in the core of the body as you inhale deeply. And a 3rd time, inhale deeply and observe these threads of light intertwining and weaving with the beam of light pouring down through the crown of the head. And allow that light to extend into the extremities. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes.
Ooh. That was beautiful. Very, very
Yeah. Yeah, my eyes feel nice and clear and humid. That always happens, yeah. Yay!
All right, that was gorgeous. Thank you so much. I love the way you bring, like, put into the state and then just bring it out. It's just so yummy.
You look like a little kid.
I'm still Lala. That's what happens when I channel. I just like la la la. Same as when I do it with my clients. I'm just like la la la. All right, guys. So we're going to leave today's one there, and what a beautiful way to finish it. What we're going to do is Maya and I are going to post the tasks for today, the beautiful, juicy, yummy, expansive tasks, and they're really I can't even explain them. I'm in too much of a meditated state. So we will post them in the Facebook group. Now, if you're watching this for some reason on YouTube or somewhere else, our Facebook group where this is the stuff that we do all the time. We're always doing free programs, we're always helping out, and it's a real community, which is what we were talking about. There's over 900 people in there at the moment and growing like so fast. It's beautiful. It's called Mind, Body, Soul, The Sacred Connection on Facebook. So find us. If it's on YouTube, I'll actually put the link below. Subscribe to our channel and all that sort of juiciness. You know where to find us. Our names are here, so connect with us. We love to get into just more like-minded people like ourselves and just submerge ourselves in even just the most juicy energy. So sending you all so much love. The people that are in the group that are watching this, we would love you to comment below if you've got anything that came up with this. As always, we're 100% here to help you and to serve you and to give you guidance and love and you know, and to look forward to seeing all the different tasks. So far, it's been absolutely amazing. We've loved it. Oh, seeing all you guys expanding and the awareness and beautiful. And the next 2 days, I think we're going to have a break and then we'll do another day, like every second day. I think we're going to do it now. We've decided because of our lovely technology gods. The next 2 days is going to be about the body. And oh my God, you want to be a part of that because this woman knows the body. She helped create mine. So yeah. We're just going to talk Maya's going to talk all things the body. I'll be assisting her. I'll be telling you some of my beautiful stories on how she's helped me transform my nutrition, the fasting, the actual body that I stand in, my mind, and it of course is reflected in my spirit 100%. Yeah, so we'll see you in what day is it today? Thursday. We'll be in the group anyway. So we're going to post this now. Look forward to seeing what came through and sending you all so much love. Bye.